I hear the Spirit placing something on my heart tonight for a very specific person, not a general message sent out in every direction. Something pressed into me, held in me for days, for the one who has been carrying more than they were given language for. If that is you, I need you to stay with me. Chosen one, I need you to stop whatever you are doing and be fully present for this, because what I am about to share is not something that can be received in the background. It requires your full attention, because it requires your full spirit. Something has been pressing on me for days, a word I could not release until I knew the right person was watching. And the fact that you are here right now, at this hour, in the middle of everything you have been carrying, tells me you are that person. God said He is sorry. I want you to feel the full weight of that before I say another word. Not process it quickly, not move past it, just feel it. Because sorry from the divine is never just a word. It is always a door. It is always a turning. It is always the first sentence of a chapter that is going to overwhelm the chapter you just survived. He is not sorry because He made a mistake. He is sorry because He watched you carry the cost of a process that could not be explained from the inside, and He has been holding the full picture while you saw only the weight. And what He has been quietly preparing during every moment of that silence, every season you felt overlooked, every night you reached toward heaven and felt only your own hands, the scope of what He is about to restore because of all of it is going to be the most overwhelming experience of your life. I am not here to give you hope. Hope is the beginning. I am here to show you what has already been set in motion. Stay with me. Everything you are going to hear over the next 30 minutes or so is being given to you freely. But if at any point your spirit tells you there is something more, something practical to carry forward with you, you will find it in the description and the pinned comment below. Do not go there yet. Stay here first. Before I go further, let me tell you what this message is going to give you, because I want you to stay through all of it. By the time we reach the end, you are going to understand specifically what God means when He says restoration in the context of your story. You are going to receive a clear picture of why the silence you have been living inside was not what you thought it was. You are going to hear about 5 specific areas of your life that are already in motion, even if they are not yet visible. And before this closes, I am going to speak something over you, a declaration that I believe will remain in your spirit long after this screen goes dark. That is what is coming. Stay close. Now, let me talk about the weight first, because I do not believe this message lands properly unless we name what you have actually been carrying. You have been carrying the kind of tired that is not fixed by sleep, the kind that lives in the bones, the kind that follows you into the morning and is still sitting there when the day ends and nothing has moved yet. You have been carrying the feeling that your prayers were traveling upward and hitting something invisible, something solid, something you could not name, and returning to you unanswered, not even as a no, just as silence, which, honestly, is harder than no. You have been carrying the weight of watching people around you move forward into the things you were also believing for, and finding a way to act like it was fine, like you were not keeping score, like it was not doing the exact thing to you that it was doing to you. You have been carrying a question, a specific one. You have been asking it privately, in the moments when nobody else is in the room. You probably stopped asking it out loud a while back, because the asking had started to feel like a cruelty to yourself. But the question is still there. It sounds something like this. Is God actually paying attention to what is happening to me specifically? I want you to hear something clearly. The tiredness you feel is not failure. It is not evidence that you did something wrong or that something is broken inside you. It is the weight of someone who made the decision to keep going when everything in their circumstances said stop. That is not weakness. That is the most costly kind of strength that exists. Type Amen in the comments if you felt that in your chest. Let me know you are here. Now, let me tell you what I mean when I say God apologized, because I am not using that word loosely or casually. In the story of Job, there is a moment most people rush past. Job had been through everything. His health, his wealth, his family, his dignity were all gone. He sat in dust and silence. He had friends around him who explained his suffering so confidently, so theologically, so wrongly that God himself eventually spoke and corrected them. And then something happened that shifted the entire story. God showed up, not with an explanation, not with a timeline of why Job had to walk through what he walked through. He showed up in a whirlwind, and he spoke. And what he spoke was not a defense. It was an engagement. It was the most intimate act in the whole story, God turning his full attention toward the one who had been waiting in the silence, the one who had been sitting in the ash and the dust, the one who had kept asking even when the asking hurt. And then, after the speaking, he restored everything, twice over. That is what the apology looks like from the divine. Not words alone, a turning, a re-engagement, a moment when the silence breaks and what was withheld begins to flow. And here is what I need you to understand about the way God restores things. There is a practice in Japan called kintsugi. When a piece of pottery breaks, instead of hiding the cracks or discarding the vessel, the artisan repairs it with gold. Actual gold, pressed carefully into every fracture. And what results is something worth more than the original, because the most beautiful parts of the vessel are now the places it was broken. The gold lives in the break. The breaking was not the end of the story. The breaking was where the most significant part of the story began. What God is doing in your life right now is not a replacement. He is not handing you a copy of what you had before, a lesser version, a consolation version of the life you lost. He is pressing gold into every fracture, every place that broke under the weight, every season that left a mark, every loss that hollowed something out inside you. Gold is going into every one of those places. And I hear the Father saying something for you in this moment. These are the words being placed on my heart for the chosen one who is listening right now. He is saying this: I saw every moment, every single one. I counted every cost, and I did not look away. What looked like my silence was not my absence. I was working in the break. I have always been working in the break. Type Amen in the comments if you receive that. If something in you just recognized that as true. And before we continue, if this message is reaching places inside you that have been waiting to be reached, take just 1 second and gently press the like button, not for me, so it can find someone else who is sitting in the same silence tonight and needs to hear this as much as you did. Now, what we have talked about so far is only the beginning of what the apology carries, what comes attached to it, what is on the other side of it. That is what I really need you to stay for. Let me pause here for just a moment. You have been listening for about 8 minutes now, and if what we have been covering is landing the way I believe it is, there is something heavy mixing with something lighter inside you right now. That combination is exactly right. You do not need to rush through it. You do not need to make sense of it yet. Just let it be what it is, for one breath, one real breath, because what comes next is going to reframe the hardest thing you have been carrying. And I need you settled before I take you there. Let me ask you something direct. What was taken from you? Not the general answer, the specific one, the relationship that ended before it had finished, the opportunity that slipped through your hands in a way that still catches you when you think about it too long, the version of yourself that was full and alive and moving freely before the years began to wear that down to something quieter and more cautious. The financial season that set you back so far, you are still measuring the distance. The dream you have stopped telling people about because explaining why it has not happened yet has become too exhausting. Whatever it was counted. And here is what King David understood about the nature of what gets restored. In one of his most honest prayers, he did not ask for his position back. He did not ask for his reputation or his throne. He asked for something far more interior than any of those things. He said, "Restore to me the joy," the specific thing the seasons had taken from inside him. Not the external circumstances, the aliveness, the internal state that the hard years had made go quiet. Because God does not only restore circumstances, He restores what the circumstances took from inside you. And here is what I know about what the seasons you have survived produced in you, chosen one. Let me name 3 things, because I believe you need to hear them named. The first is a depth of empathy that people who have not walked through what you have walked through simply do not carry. You feel things in people before they have said a word. You recognize pain in a room before anyone else acknowledges it. That did not come from ease. That came from the exact seasons you were asking to be removed. The second is discernment. You have been sharpened by loss into someone who knows the difference between what is genuinely real and what is only presented well. You have been through enough that the things which used to distract you have lost most of their pull. Your discernment is not a burden, it is a weapon, and it was forged in the years you thought you were only surviving. The third is a capacity for real rest. Not the absence of activity, but the kind of rest that comes from knowing what it feels like when a season is genuinely over and something new is truly beginning. You are starting to feel the edge of that now. And the vessel that was cracking through all of those seasons, the kintsugi, is still in progress. The gold is still being pressed in. But I need you to see where this is heading. What felt like being passed over was actually being prepared. What felt like losing was actually being emptied, so that what was coming would have room to fully land. What felt like the door closing was actually the wrong room being cleared before you walked into the right one. I need you to carry one more thought with you as we move into the second part of this message. Earlier, I mentioned something, a tool that connects directly to what we have been discussing today, and I said I would return to it. Its name is the Genius Song. I'm not going to say everything about it right now. I want you to have the full picture of what we are covering first, because that context is what makes what I am about to tell you mean something. I will give you the complete story of it in part 2. Carry this question into part 2 with you. If restoration has already been set in motion for your life, what exactly is being rebuilt? Area by area, specifically. That is what we are going to answer. Starting now. Before I show you the full restoration plan, and I will show you completely and specifically, there is something I need to address first. Because most people who understand that restoration is coming still get one thing wrong. And getting this one thing wrong is the difference between the restoration fully landing in your life and the restoration passing through without settling. Stay with me, because what comes next is the reason this entire message exists. Let me tell you about someone who reached out a while back. She had spent years as a caregiver, her mother first, then her father, then her sister's children during a difficult stretch of time. Her own life had been quietly folded into the background of everyone else's needs for so long that she had reached a point where she stopped praying specifically. Not because she stopped believing, because naming the specific things she wanted had become something she could no longer emotionally afford to do. So she prayed in general terms. God, just do something. Just move somewhere, somehow. Because the specific prayers had hurt too much to keep making. And then, in a single 30-day window, 4 of the 5 specific things she had quietly stopped asking for began moving, all at once, without any visible warning. Not because she did something correctly at the right moment, but because something that had been in motion for a very long time finally arrived. She told me she spent a week crying, not from sadness, from overwhelm, from the kind of gratitude that has no adequate expression. I am telling you that story because I believe where she was standing before that 30-day window is very close to where you are standing right now. And let me show you why restoration moves the way it does. In the ancient Hebrew language, the word translated as restore is the word shuwb, and what it means is not what most people assume. It does not mean returning to what once was. The literal meaning is to turn back toward, like a river that has been diverted, finding its original channel again and beginning to flow, the way it was always designed to flow. So when God says He is going to restore what you lost, He is not saying He is going to give you a copy of the old thing. He is saying the flow is turning back toward what this was always designed to be, not the ruins. The original design, what was always meant to be here. And what He is turning the flow toward in your life is specific. Let me walk through it with you. The first area is relationships. For those entering this season of restoration, what is shifting is the composition of who surrounds you. Connections that have been draining you, taking more than they give, requiring you to be smaller than you are. Those connections are already loosening. You may have felt it, and it will be uncomfortable when it happens. You will question whether you pushed them away. You did not. What is leaving needed to leave. And in the space that opens up, someone is arriving who understands your language without needing a translation. The second area is purpose. The confusion, the persistent sense that you are supposed to be going somewhere more specific than your current circumstances allow. That confusion is not a failure of your faith or your effort. It is the symptom of a transition. Purpose does not emerge in chaos. It crystallizes in the quiet that follows the storm. The clarity is much closer than you currently believe. The third area is provision. The financial channel that has felt narrow, tight, just enough to function, but never enough to move freely. That channel is being widened. Not because of luck, because what was blocking the flow is being removed. You do not need to force this. You need to stop believing it is permanently shut. The fourth area is identity. The version of yourself you used to recognize, the one who was full and lit up and moved without needing to apologize for taking up space. That person is not lost. That person is being reassembled. Piece by piece, season by season, the original you is returning, and what is returning is more complete than what left. The fifth area is peace. Not the kind of peace that depends on circumstances being manageable. The specific peace that Paul described as surpassing understanding. The kind that sits underneath your circumstances rather than being determined by them. That peace is arriving. You can feel the very edges of it even now. If you receive all 5 of these for your life, type "receive" in the comments. Type it as a declaration, not as a wish, as someone claiming what already belongs to them. Now I need to come back to something I promised earlier I would address. The quiet voice. You know the one that says something like this. But do I actually deserve what is coming? I want to name it clearly. That voice is not wisdom. It feels like wisdom, like healthy humility, like being realistic so you do not set yourself up to be disappointed again. But it is not any of those things. It is unworthiness dressed in the language of caution. And unworthiness has a specific root. It was not something you chose. It was formed in you over years of experiences that taught you, through enough repetition, that it became background noise, that you were the exception, that the promises applied to everyone except you, that others moved into their breakthroughs while you remained, and there must be a reason for it, and the reason must be something about you. I want to say something very directly. Worthiness is not a prerequisite for restoration. Receiving is. Those are 2 completely different postures. Worthiness is earned. Receiving is chosen. And you can choose it right now, exactly as you are, exactly where you are. You are allowed to receive what you did not earn. You are allowed to be the recipient of a grace that does not match your track record, that arrives faster and more completely than your best effort could have produced. You are allowed to be overwhelmed by a goodness that outpaces your ability to explain why you specifically. You are allowed to stop shrinking the blessing to fit inside what feels fair. Now let me give you 3 things you can do right now. None of them require you to move or go anywhere. These happen in the interior. The first, every time your mind returns to one of those seasons of silence and begins to frame it as evidence that you were forgotten, practice replacing that frame with one word: shub. Return. The flow is turning back. What was diverted is finding its original channel. That reframe, practiced with consistency, in the moments when the old interpretation rises, begins to shift the way you receive what is coming. The second, internally, in the hands of your spirit rather than your physical hands, move from a reaching position to an open one. There is a posture of striving, of grasping, of trying to produce by effort what only arrives when you stop forcing it. And there is a posture of receiving, open, turned toward, trusting that the delivery is already underway. You do not have to do anything to make the restoration happen. You have to stop doing the thing that has been blocking its landing. The third, when the goodness begins to arrive, and it is beginning even now in ways you cannot fully see yet, release the instinct to reduce it. The trained response when something large shows up is to shrink it, to explain it away, to make it fit inside what seems reasonable. Give yourself permission to let it be as large as it actually is. When it arrives, receive it at full scale. Type "I release" in the comments right now if you are choosing to let go of the thing that has been standing between you and what is already in motion for you. Now let me take you to the deepest part of what I want to say. This is what the entire message has been building toward. What felt like abandonment was actually accounting. Every moment of silence, every season of waiting, every prayer that seemed to dissolve before it was answered, all of it was being counted, not ignored. Counted. What felt like silence was actually strategy. The things you could not hear were not absent. They were being prepared in a frequency you were not yet positioned to receive. The silence was not empty. It was full of everything that is now arriving. What felt like losing was actually the emptying required, so that what was coming would have room to land fully inside you. You cannot pour into a full vessel. What left created space. Specific space, shaped exactly like what is about to fill it. What felt like being overlooked was actually being protected from arriving before you were ready. Early arrival is not a gift when the vessel has not been formed enough to hold what the assignment requires. The delay was not negligence. The delay was protection. And now, chosen one, hear this. The vessel is complete. Every fracture has gold in it now. Every breaking season, every loss that left a mark, every night that felt like the floor was giving way beneath you, the artisan has been working in every single one of those places. And what has been produced is not a patched version of what you were before. It is the most extraordinary version of this vessel that has ever existed, stronger in the broken places than in the places that were never tested. And I hear the Father speaking something specific over the chosen one who is listening right now. These are the words being pressed on my heart for you. He is saying this. The silence was not my absence. It was the sound of me working. And what I have been building in the dark, in the quiet, in every place you could not see my hands, is about to overwhelm you. Not frighten you, overwhelm you. Because I do not restore what was. I restore what was always meant to be. And you have always been meant to carry this. You are not behind. You are not a version of yourself that did not make it. You are the person that everything you survived was building. And the season that is beginning now was designed to make every single thing you walked through finally make sense. You are held. Chosen one, you have always been held. Let me take a breath here with you before we move forward. I want to make sure what we have covered is sitting clearly inside you before I show you one more thing. Here is what this message has given you. God's apology is not comfort for its own sake. It is the announcement of a specific, proportional restoration that is shaped by the exact cost of what you endured. The word shub means the flow is turning back, not to where things were, but to where they were always designed to go. The 5 areas, relationships, purpose, provision, identity, and peace. Those areas are in motion. The formation that happened in the hard seasons produced something real and irreplaceable inside you. Depth, discernment, and a capacity for genuine rest. The obstacles standing between you and full reception, the unworthiness belief, has been named and returned to you to release. And 3 interior practices have been given to you to carry forward starting today. You are not leaving this message the same way you arrived. Something has shifted. I want to honor that before I show you what comes next. Now, there is a tool I want to share with you, and I believe its presence in this message at this exact moment is not accidental. For decades, researchers documenting the human brain across institutions, including MIT and Princeton, mapped a specific frequency state that the scientific world and the spiritual world are slowly realizing were always pointing at the same underlying truth. It is called the gamma wave state. And what makes it extraordinary is not only what it produces when it is active, accelerated pattern recognition, a depth of intuition, and what subjects consistently describe as a quality of flow, where things click into place with an ease that feels almost impossible to manufacture. What makes it extraordinary is what happened to it. Children have full natural access to gamma. A young child's brain, before the years of stress and survival conditioning begin to shape it, operates in this state almost continuously. And then something the researchers named the decline effect begins around age 7. Gradually, the gamma access diminishes, not because the brain has lost the ability to enter that state, because the environment begins training the brain away from it. The frequencies of survival, stress, and hypervigilance begin to dominate, and the gamma, the frequency connected to genius, clarity, spiritual sensitivity, and flow, goes quiet. Here is what I want you to notice. The chosen ones who walk through what you have been walking through, the ones who feel things deeply, who sense the spiritual atmosphere of a room before anyone has spoken, who carry a restlessness that cannot be explained by their circumstances, who have always had the quiet, persistent feeling that they were designed for something larger than their current reality allowed. Those are not personality quirks. That is gamma trying to express itself through a channel that has been suppressed for years. The restlessness you have been carrying is your design trying to return to what it was always built to be. A neuroscientist named Dr. Robert Lake spent 34 years studying a very specific question, not general brain health. This exact question: is there a way to reactivate the gamma state in an adult brain that has been conditioned out of it? And after those decades of research, he produced something I want you to receive, not as a product, but as a confirmation of the very thing we have been talking about through this entire message. He calls it the Genius Song. Earlier in this message, I briefly named it and said I would come back to it. This is that return. And the connection I want you to understand is this. Shuwb means turning the flow back toward the original design. The Genius Song is a tool that facilitates exactly that at the level of the brain, so that what the spirit is ready to receive has a mind clear enough and open enough to receive it. Let me tell you about a woman who wrote to me after using it for 3 weeks. She had been a caregiver for the better part of a decade. Her own inner life had been in the background of everyone else's needs for so long that she had lost the quality of clarity she once had. She had tried general wellness tools, and nothing had addressed what she was actually describing. After 3 weeks of 7 minutes a day through headphones, she said something shifted in the interior quality of how things were landing for her. Not the external circumstances immediately. The interior quality first. Within 60 days, the external circumstances began to follow. I share that story because the combination I have seen repeatedly, a spirit that has done the interior work we have been doing today, and a brain being brought back into gamma coherence. That combination is not ordinary. You have probably spent money over the years trying to find something that addresses this level of need. A single session at a biofeedback therapy clinic runs around $150, and that is for one session in a process that typically requires weeks of repeated visits. A quality retreat addressing this depth of inner work runs somewhere between $400 and $800 for a weekend. Monthly wellness app subscriptions cost around $15 a month, and not one of them specifically targets the gamma frequency. Dr. Lake compressed 34 years of neuroscience research into a 7-minute audio track. The standard access point is $49. For the person watching this specific message, the access is $39, one time, no subscription, because Dr. Lake's mission has never been to restrict this technology to people who can afford a $2,000 retreat. It has always been to reach the people who genuinely need it. And here is what comes with it: the Genius song itself, plus 4 bonuses included at no additional cost. An audio track calibrated specifically for children before the decline effect sets in fully, worth $19 on its own. The original book that the film The Secret drew its principles from, specifically its financial principles, worth $20. A guided 22-minute visualization walking through 4 key areas of life: finances, relationships, health, and peace, worth $29. And a daily habit infographic outlining 5 practices that sustain gamma activation long-term, worth $12. That is $80 in additional resources included. And the guarantee, 90 days. If this is not what your season needed, you receive every dollar back with no conditions attached. You keep every one of the 4 bonuses regardless. The full $80 of resources, yours to keep as an acknowledgement of your time, because Dr. Lake's position is that even if the primary tool is not your fit, the additional resources should still serve you. Over 18,000 people have used this. The return rate sits under 4%, which means more than 96% of people who invest in this continue using it past the full guarantee window. That is not a marketing number. That is the quality signal that matters more than any other number I could give you. I also want to say something about timing. The $39 access with the complete bonus stack is specific to this message. And beyond the external deadline, there is an interior one. There are moments when something is present that was designed to arrive at a specific point in a journey. This message and this moment are not random for you. If your spirit is drawn to this, do not let the moment pass and then wonder later why it felt different when the door was open. Act on what you feel genuinely drawn toward in the moment that you feel it. One more thing I need you to hear, because there are imitations appearing that use similar language but do not carry the same technology or the same guarantee structure. The link in the description and the pinned comment below takes you directly to the verified source. That is the only place I recommend. Go through the link below. If you have been finding this kind of content meaningful for the season you are in, the messages being prepared next are for where you are going, not only where you have been. Subscribe and stay close. Now, before I close this with you, I want to give you something to carry out of this space. Wherever you are right now, you do not need to move. Just settle where you are for a moment. Bring to mind the one area of your life where the silence has been loudest. Just one. Let it come forward, without analyzing it, without explaining it, or justifying why it has been hard. Just hold it for a moment, the way you would hold something you are about to hand over to someone you trust completely. Now, in the interior, in the hands of your spirit rather than your physical hands, picture moving from a reaching position to an open one, not grasping, not striving, open. Turn toward what is coming, and from that posture, receive, not as someone begging, not as someone bargaining, as someone for whom this was always the plan and who is finally standing in the moment when it arrives. Hold that posture, let it settle into you. And now, from that place, let me speak this over you. Father, I want to acknowledge someone who has been carrying more than they were given words for. Someone who pressed through seasons of silence and cost and confusion and is still here, still present, still choosing to believe that something real was on the other side of all of it. I see them, and I ask that they feel, in this moment, that you see them too. For everything that left your hands before it was finished, release it now. Not because it did not matter, it mattered deeply. but because what left was making room, and you have been in the release long enough. Let the weight of what was taken fall from your shoulders. You do not have to carry it one more step. And now hear this clearly, chosen one. I hear the Father speaking 3 things over you, and I want each one to land separately. You are not forgotten. You are not forsaken. You are not finished. The silence is over. The restoration has begun. And the overwhelm that was promised to you at the beginning of this message, you have only felt the very first breath of it. What is coming for your life is larger than what we were able to name tonight. And you were always the one it was coming for. And so it is. Take that in, all of it. You are not the same person who arrived here. Something moved, something settled, something was released, and something else opened. That is real. It does not require your understanding to be true. It only requires your reception. And right now, all across the world, chosen ones are sitting in the same silence you have been sitting in, carrying the same weight, and hearing this word for the first time. You are not alone in this. Something is moving across all of us at once. If this message brought clarity where there was confusion, if it brought peace where something had been loud inside you, if it brought confirmation to something you have been feeling but could not name, let your like be your amen without words. Press it gently and know that in doing so, you are sending this message into someone else's night who needs it as much as you did. Type "I am ready" in the comments, not as a wish, as a declaration, as someone who has decided. And if someone came to mind while you were listening, someone who has been unusually quiet lately, someone who stopped asking for specific things because the asking hurt too much, someone who looks completely fine to everyone around them, but you know something deeper is happening inside, send this to them, text it, share it however you need to. What you do in this moment could be the exact message they asked God to send. Rest now, chosen one. The work has been done. What is coming for you is already in motion.